Yep, brilliant.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's turned it on.
So-
Right. Speak to us. Right, hi everybody, it's Thursday, it's Litsoc, and it is the 25th of January, which means it is what today?
Burns night.
Well, yes, it is
We
Burns
did an
night,
assembly
I
on it and I
agree.
face planted in front of the whole year group.
Yeah,
Were you not paying attention? I tripped over the ant box and face planted.
Wait, no, that was you. That really.
Thank
loud
you.
noise.
All right.
That was so funny.
Okay.
It's Burns night, yes, thank you for reminding us, and the Year 11s will be revising very shortly to a mouse. The best laid plans of mice and men. Annabelle. It's also something else that we were celebrating this morning. Josie.
The school's 140th.
Absolutely, the school's 140th birthday.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Annabelle, yes. Which doesn't happen all that often, does it? We had a lovely assembly this morning telling us all about the history of the school in a lots more detail than I think anybody here knew. I saw lots of old colleagues came back to celebrate with us. We had beautiful shortbread in the shape of ducks, yes, like our beautiful green duck, and generally, and had a beautiful poem called Reflections by Lulu, who came back to see us all, which was really nice. So it was a really lovely and moving morning. And to add to the celebrations, we have a member of the English department here with us this afternoon, Mr Allan, and he's going to be taking us through the minefield and really interesting history of sports journalism, including some activities. So, over to you, Mr Allan. Thank you. I shall leave you Paddington.
I'm actually going to take my jacket off, if that's okay. You got your mascot as well here.
Yeah, you've got your
As we
mascot.
often see in the sporting arena, of course.
Of course.
Anybody tell me who the English mascot is?
Paddington.
No, not the
Not our mascot.
the English football team's mascot. Sorry, I should be more precise.
No, that's the rugby.
Well, what's the rugby team's mascot?
Like no, it's like the England rugby team. It's got like the rose.
The red roses.
No, I know nothing.
That's the
My
emblem.
brother's too
That's the
obsessed
emblem,
with
yeah.
rugby. It's actually like
That's starting
Okay.
soon, Six Nations.
I know literally nothing.
It's something to do with the lions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting fact. Actually, they're leopards on the England. We're known as the three lions or the lionesses. However, on the English flag,
standard, it's leopards, yeah.
because they're horizontal, they're actually leopards. So traditionally, in like war flags, and if you study vexillology, which is the study of flags, a lion must be upright, whereas a leopard can be horizontal. So although we are called the three lions or the lionesses, it is actually a leopard on the English crest. Just as a
I
little.
don't know where the leopards came from.
extra
I mean, there
stuff.
must be something to do with somewhere else, but
There must be some history in it, but unfortunately, I don't have that information to hand. No, there we go. So, I've been asked to come today to talk about two things that I'm very passionate about, and that is sport and reading. Okay, so how do they come together? And that is in the world of sports journalism. Okay, so it's a really interesting field, and it has a huge history, as Miss Huntley alluded to earlier. And actually, the way I see it is the sports journalists are storytellers without books or plays or poems. They use their voice if it's live commentary, or they use their written word to express a narrative that is only narrated once, because it only happens once in sport, and anything can happen, and there are multiple different possibilities. And I think actually for someone that grew up loving words and how words work together, but also loving sport, the way that they combine and the way that you can actually build emotion around a sporting event through language is really significant, and really something that we should promote and cherish where we can. Okay. However, today I was a little bit perplexed on what is the best way to introduce sports journalism to a group of budding readers. So I thought, why not? Let's treat it more like not a lesson as such, but some interesting different activities we can look at. Okay. So on your sheet there is an English language theorist called Tony Bruce. And she's done a lot of research into into the expectation, not the expectations, the style of sports journalism comparing female and male sports stars. Okay, and if you look at that list, the 10 are the things that she found happen regularly. Okay, the 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, they are things that she hopes for in the future. Okay, so what I would like you to do is just have a look, read through, and think: have you actually seen any evidence of this in any sports journalism, perhaps that you've come across? Anything that you know about sport or anything that you're passionate about. So there are some examples on the table. Just for the camera's sake, for all those listening at home, we have lower broadcast production values. So in essence, there isn't as much money in the female game. Gender marking. Does anyone know what gender marking is? Okay, so this is...
I was going to say, is it the idea of like one sport is almost pushed towards one gender? So, for example, if you were to want to push football towards boys because it's stereotypically male, am I sort of right?
You are sort of right, yes, you are sort of right. So it's this idea that Bruce found that there's an inherent sexism within the way we talk about sport, and that stems from anywhere, as even like the professional associations. So the LPGA is the Ladies Professional Golf Association, whereas the men's equivalent is just the PGA. They don't have an M in front of it. It's not the Male Professional Golf Association. It's just Professional Golf Association. Same with the English Premier League in football is EPL, whereas the women's is WSL, the Women's Super League. So there's always this this gender marking at the front when we're talking about female sport, and it could go all the way to suffixes, the lionesses. Okay, we're adding that gendered suffix onto the concrete noun of the lion, right, and the lionesses. So we have that idea that actually inherently there's a sexism that we just allow and we encourage just by the way that we use acronyms within the sporting world, which I think is quite an interesting one. Infantilization. Does anyone know what infantilization is? Yes, Josie.
Like treating someone as if they're like a child when they're only an adult, and it's often that they are seen as like incapable, almost supporting themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really well put, and that's what we do see with female sport as well, is that we have this. There's always this push towards actually a more sympathetic tone when actually they're athletes. They're running, they're fighting, they're throwing, they're playing, whatever it may be, and yet there's still this weird sympathetic tone around it, and this childish sort of diction that we use towards professional athletes. Non-sport related aspects of this is they fixate on age or pregnancy or relationships from all sports players.
Well, I mean, if you think about Serena Williams and Venus Williams, I mean, Serena, they just went on and on about the pregnancy and how it ruined her career, what have you.
Yeah.
And was she going to come back and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the second task we're going to look at soon is headlines all around Ashley Barty, who you may remember from a few years ago, who retired from tennis, and the horrific headlines that came out when she decided to make that choice for herself. Sports women don't matter. There is the biggest stories about women's sport come later on in the newspapers, okay, or they are not publicised as much. They don't get as much TV coverage. If we're talking about like Sky Sports News or anything like that, there isn't as much information. Now, there is hope and there is change coming, but certainly still I would argue that there is that what Bruce found, that they don't matter. Compulsory heterosexuality. Any idea what that might mean? Go on, yeah.
You can't like be like gay, and if you are, you have to pretend you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so there's this stigma around sexuality in sport as well, and I think we do see that in both. Thomas Hitzelsberger was a West Ham footballer, early 2000s, and he came out as gay, but he did it on the day of his retirement. And before him, there was only one other professional Premier League player that came out gay, and unfortunately ended up taking his own life because of the the hatred they got, Justin Fashanu, came out again and unfortunately took his own life. So yes, there is this idea around: is there an alignment between sexuality and sport bias or sport comments? Expectations, absolutely, yeah. And then sexualization we see in female athletes all the time. Okay, there are images you'll see on number 10. It says athletes in action images. That's relating to male. So we're talking about graphological features now. So the image that supports the text, actually, when it's showing men, it tends to show them playing the sport, whether it be tennis, cricket, football, basketball, whatever it may be. Whereas women, they might show them relaxing on the beach or with their partner, or what dress did they wear to this award ceremony, whatever it may be. There is a more frequent use of over-sexualization of women in the images posted alongside the sports journalism. Ambivalence. Does anyone know what ambivalence is? Yeah.
The public generally don't care enough about women's sports.
Yeah. There's a lack of knowledge around it, and it comes from ignorance and apathy from society. That ties in, of course, with the fifth point. But yes, ambivalence there. And then the last one is, as aforementioned, the athletes in action images tend to be more male. Okay, so the 5 below are what Tony Bruce and hopefully many others hope will happen in the coming future. Now, it is important to note that Tony Bruce's findings were in 2013. So we're 11 years on from when she did this study. Okay, but there is still definitely action that needs to be taken as we go forward. And one of the activities today is looking at, if we were a sports journalist, how would we write our headlines around male and female sports stars? Okay, so we will get to that shortly. Did anyone have anything to say on that yet, or anything that they know about sport in general or sports journalism in any way?
Do you watch sports on TV, girls? Do you listen
I
to?
watch a bit of rugby because my family's my dad and my brother are really into it. So there's a game and sometimes I watch it.
Mm-hmm. And have you noticed anything about rugby and how it's presented now? That's a bit different, maybe.
People usually associate one person with being really bad, and if people keep saying oh, why did you send this person off? They were good, or and people just obsess over small things, and if someone makes a foul, then they think they're a horrible person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, we've seen that when people face this abuse from so-called fans, that it can have a really serious effect on their mental well-being as well. And we've seen that with footballers recently, and people like Bukayo Saka, and the atrocious racial prejudice he faced after missing a penalty in the Euros final, to rugby players. Lewis Rees-Zammit left the rugby game
and he's faced a big backlash over it. It's just to pursue his dreams. Young man, 22 years old, bit of a superstar. Yeah. And people are going, oh, how you're just greedy, you're just leaving behind the Welsh rugby team when they need you, and he's just the guy who's pursuing his dreams, and good luck to him, but now he's been getting a lot of flack for it. So,
absolutely. Any other sports that we watch or play? Yeah.
I watch tennis.
Lovely. Watching the Australian Open at the moment? Yeah. That's good. How is there anything you've noticed about the presentation of the men's game and the women's game?
I mean, not really much difference, but between both players, they normally predict who's gonna win, and it normally says on the court, if you see midway, it says 63%, and the other person 17%, or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
So and then also the cheering, because it's Australian Open. They imagine if it was an Australian player or a US player, then they would rather cheer for that person. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really good points there. Yeah, go on.
Well, I'm not the biggest sport fan, but my dad likes sports, and so one time me and my sister, we went to a Chelsea versus Arsenal women's football game.
Brilliant, yeah.
And I did notice one thing. The Arsenal fans were really violent and mean towards all of the Chelsea people and the players. I think someone got injured, and they kept on yelling where's your stretcher to the person who got injured, and chanting it, and I was
Yeah, absolutely. There's that lack of empathy sometimes when it comes around sport. And actually, you probably haven't seen it, but there's a documentary on Wrexham Football Club, and they do a terrific episode on hooliganism, and that's the idea of just violence around the sport, and this idea that people will go just to be violent to one another, and there is unfortunately this sort of parallel between fandom and hooliganism that is quite often blurred, which is
weird, isn't it? 'Cause you don't get it with most sports.
No, most sports you can sit next to a rival and be amicable with one another, but it's not the case, unfortunately, always. Go on, last one. Oh, was that a hand up as well? Sorry, I couldn't quite see you behind. Go on, please.
What I was going to say, it sort of is similar to your point. I remember when I was at primary school, we went to the Chelsea women's home stadium down in Kingston, and I just remember thinking, comparing it to Chelsea men's stadium, they have this massive stadium, absolutely massive, like walking parade down, and I just think it's kind of mad because the women's team are really successful in their game, and they have this club that if you didn't know who it belonged to, you'd think this is just like a small local club, even though it isn't. And I just think that really shows the differences between them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. And is it Longmeadow, Chelsea women play at? It is Longmeadow. Longmeadow. Yeah, absolutely. So the comparison between the two really does elevate the differences between them.
One thing I've noticed a bit more is that in cricket there are now, I don't know because I don't watch any other sport really, but in cricket even if it's a men's game, there's a woman commentating.
Quite often, yes.
Special for a long time now. It's still quite male chauvinist in their commentary, but they do have women. They bring in the women players and they comment.
It is starting to happen in other sports as well. Gradually.
But there's still a backlash. There's many female pundits and commentators that face this media backlash.
And also, I do notice that the women commentate, or if you're presenters, not really the commentators, but the presenters, they are expected to be dressed quite differently from the male commentators. It's really, really bad. The men are wearing basically chinos and trainers, and she's, often they're wearing high heels, and you think, what's going on? So, yes. All right, Annabelle.
So I went to a cricket game, and it was Overall Invincibles, because that's the team I support. Before all the big games, it was Overall v Manchester. There was a women's game before, and you could see it because we wanted to see both the games. So we got at the start of the women's game. We watched the women's game, about halfway through, because people want to see the men's game. People just flood in because they want to get there early so they don't miss it. So they end up seeing the women's game, which is really good because they can they get more supporters than they usually would, but at the start, you could see that the stadium was almost empty, and then at the end, it was full.
Yeah, it's getting better. But
and then the what's the name? The field that they played it in, they made the
Was it the boundary?
The boundary smaller
for the women's game.
Yeah.
They do. Okay, so we've got some really great examples, and thank you all for that. The second task on there is does anyone know about Ashley Barty's story and what she went through? Go on.
I know a bit, but I'm not really 100% sure. But I think she won the Junior Cup something, but then she left again and went to cricket. And then I don't know, but I think people say that someone said something to her that she couldn't win or something, and so she came back and she won three Grand Slams, and then she left. Yeah.
And then she left again, and that it was the second time where she gets this infantilization, as Josie was saying earlier, but also this ambivalence around the headlines. So Ashley Barty, world number 1, makes shock call to quit tennis. It's this idea that it's a shock to us as a society. But then if you look at how many of them talk about her age, tennis champion Ash Barty, so even the shortened version of her name, the diminutive, really patronising, age 25, Australian world number 1, breaks down as she stuns the sporting world by revealing, "I have nothing more to give." So that even the colloquialism of breaks down, it's this idea that she isn't mentally strong and she's had this breakdown, and that's what they're starting to focus on in the headline. I think semantically it presents her as weak, even though she's making a choice for her career, her life, her decisions.
What more can you achieve? I mean, you just have to, world number 1.
What else have we got on here? Again, there's so many times just age 25. Ash Barty retires. Tennis rocked as world number 1, quits game at age 25. I think the word quits has some negative connotations around it. I know you're beering over, sorry.
Nosy,
the other thing is that this is a trope of journalism in across all genres, isn't it? That the age is always put in. Doesn't matter what it is.
Welcome.
It is dying out, but for example, I have no idea what age Mr. Bates is. Mr. Allan Bates, taken from the post office. I can't think what age he is, and that probably suggests that it's not, there anymore. It's probably still there in the tabloids, but maybe I'm wrong. But yes, I mean it's appalling.
It is. And what Tony Bruce found is actually the age is more commonly included in the headline if it is a female athlete, because it's like, oh, is she close to marriage? Is she close to pregnancy? Is she close to family? What is it? And they fixate almost on this idea that there is a timeline for women athletes, which they don't tend to do with male athletes, is what Tony Bruce found. Okay, right. So that's where we are now. I've put a little model in there just because I wanted to say what the structure of journalism is, and it actually follows a very simple 3-tier system. Okay, and obviously, as you may know from GCSE, A level, you have your headline, you have your kicker, your byline. All of that is still the same with sports journalism, but then you go into your triangle. Okay, so it's called the upside down triangle. It is what it says on the tin, right? It is an upside down triangle, and it says you need to start with your most newsworthy info. So who, what, where, when, okay, how, all of those things. So that's, you start with the facts, the logos, if you wanted to talk about ethos, pathos, logos. Okay, then you go into the important details and other general info, background info. Okay, the thing that Bruce found, and that the only reason I've put this in, is actually when it comes to female sports journalism, they flip it. They look at the general info and the background info first. So they look, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example at the moment. Let's say the Serena Williams one. Serena Williams, recently back from injury, recently broken up in this relationship or pregnancy or whatever it may be. That's where they start first. And they fixate on the personal life rather than the sporting achievements, and it's very hard to separate the two when it comes to female sports athletes, as Bruce suggests. So I just wanted to include that just as a little extra note before we do the exercise, the activity, which I hope you'll enjoy. I did have a little go. I may share mine with you as well, but
I think you should.
I've given you 3 probably unrealistic events of the England Lionesses or the 3 Lions winning the Football World Cup. No, it's not unrealistic. We'll support the team.
Nearly happened.
Yeah, it did very nearly happen. What I'd like you to do, and you can do this in pairs if you want, is write one headline for the Lionesses and one for the 3 Lions. Okay. Same with the second one, the amateur golfer, and the same with the 100-meter record. Okay, so any headline you want, but just have some fun with it. Maybe try and include a pun or something along those lines.
Are we meant to do it like how the media think or how we think things?
Ooh, very good. Very good. I think how you think. Yeah, I think what you think it should be like, I think would be interesting to see. Okay, so whilst you do that, I will have a quick discussion with you guys. Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Does it?
Yeah.
Sick and tired of it.
Yeah, because it goes.
Radical and derailed by exhaustion.
Oh my god, on the line lesson, when they were about to win the World Cup, I was at the airport.
It's only when you get down to there
On this tiny
that
TV.
actually it talks about
The event.
the events
Yeah.
of the tournament so far. Because of course the agenda is she going to pull out and
Yeah.
be off again for a while?
I was just sitting in the thing, just watching it. Then on the plane, they were like.
So what's the opening line, may I ask?
My dad got the whole plane just
Well, basically, got 3 subheadings. This is Simon Bruce's attention. Emma Radcliffe never can't said
January, there was only
my
like
mouth during the latter stages of a defeat by China's Yafan Wang at the Australian Open, but remained determined to fight to
Makes sense because I only got
long
short
flights.
flights.
I've been on long
Yeah.
flights and TV.
the fact she had a
I just found my I just did
and there are just no films that you like, and then you're there like.
I just watched the TV.
Oh yeah, that's there's a sports section in Guardians.
Look at the
Whereas
Follows the formula. We got one there. What's that? Henderson.
Jordan
Oh,
Henderson,
Jordan Henderson. He's here.
literally the first line, Jordan Henderson completed his move back into European football last night after his El Ettifaq contract was terminated and he signed for Ajax. It's factual, it's to the point, it states exactly what the story is about. And okay, they might go on and talk about, I assume they'll talk about like the impact, the social, the ethical impact that he had in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. But
because by going from
yeah,
Saudi Arabia. So,
Why 65?
Because like
I got this is the football one from Times, and essentially I can't remember what number it was, but there was one article
stomach bug
all men.
infantilization.
Yeah, because that's how society is still puts value. And you know, we were talking about the women commentators putting the semantic backlash. I remember how now with the last 2 or 3 years, it's not man of the match anymore, it's player of the match.
Yeah.
And how many people just like kicked it and stink about that. Do you watch Match of the Day?
I tried to watch it. Yeah.
If this is going back a while now, this is going back before I moved to England, I think even. But Jackie Oatley, when she commentated on one of the matches, and I've had matches. First time I ever had a woman commentator, there was so much complaining about it. It's like, having this woman in a man's world.
That made me appreciate it. Who does the pre-match statement about Premier League? It's
Gabby Logan. Yes, she does. Yeah.
But they don't have a female pundit on Match of the Day, do they?
They do sometimes. Like
Alex
this,
Scott sometimes. Yeah.
They go this,
Yeah.
So, generally.
Eni Aluko, maybe a couple of times. Yeah, they do have. They do now have a few. There is becoming more frequent, but still, there is still a weighting towards male, I would say. But it'll be interesting to see who the new host is when Gary Lineker steps down.
Yeah, well, maybe they have mentioned that.
So they have mentioned Alex.
Annabelle, we're working together. You're meant to do this on your own.
I think at the end of this season, is it? Yeah, I think it's the end of this season. So
4 or 5 months.
yeah. So it'll be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Do we want to hear them, or should we?
Do you think that's enough time? Do we need a bit more time?
Bit more time? Bit more time. Okay, bit more
2 or 3 more
time.
minutes, maybe. Yeah. So what was your? Well, I know you're going to share it in a minute. Have you brought them with you?
No, I've actually forgotten them.
They're
up in the
let's see what you
office.
can come up with now then. Or maybe you and me can put it together.
So the lionesses, or the 3 lions win the Football World Cup.
And you have a pen there.
Yeah.
That's handy. Let's put our 3 heads together.
Put our Peter Drury line to
Lionesses.
Lionesses roar to success. I don't know. It's a bit.
I'm sure they said it somewhere.
Yeah, they will.
Linus is
Journey to
horrific.
How about a pen?
Horrific.
Who's
Who's that? Beth Mead. Yeah, I think she was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Leah
Williamson. Yeah, Williamson.
I think it's Beth Mead, right?
I think it is Beth Mead. Yeah.
Something about drinking. Oh god. No.
We need more.
That's the best we've had so far. I mean, we don't have to. I don't think we certainly approves of our tabloid journalism.
Yeah.
I can't be so good at changing it from like right side.
The meat
They
show.
Yeah.
They went into the
This is quite good though. Sick and tired of it. Well, it's not.
That's the Telegraph.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The Guardian's
Yes.
You know how it's like we have Hogan's Heroes. Beth Meads. It's a bit of alliteration there.
Yeah. Mead's Magicians.
Mead Magic.
Mead Magic. England needed magic, and they got it.
There we go. Mead's Magic. Brilliant. Beth leads here. Team to glory. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then we, okay, then do you want to now do the triangle? Are we just going to stick to the headlines?
Headlines. I have asked us for headlines, yeah. Mead's Magic, what did we say?
Brilliant Beth leads.
Oh, see that? You could say is potentially infantilization on her by her first name.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and it's her first
I think
name.
it's the brilliant.
But also, yeah,
Passing the head.
brilliant Beth, yeah. Brilliant Beth. Yeah. It's hard, isn't it?
It is very hard.
I didn't realise how difficult it's going to be
There you
for
go.
him.
I got more sympathy for him now, then, eh?
Yeah. It's always
Mead's
good
Magic.
Yeah, I got them free.
Mead's Magic ups a win.
I got them free, but mine.
This is
Yeah,
Mary
there you
ups.
go. It's Mary Ups.
Ups a win. Yeah. Ups a World Cup win. Yeah. That'll do. Ups a World Cup win.
We weren't claiming that we were better.
No. To be honest, I think if either team won the World Cup, the headline would just be England win the World Cup. I think in all honesty, I think that would be the headline. But
Because it made that much of a... England actually won the World Cup. Right. Should we? Are you going to do another one, or should we?
I've said, can he do it?
That sounds like before the World Cup.
Yeah. Can he do it?
Very good.
Yes, he can. No, yes, he can. Or can he do it? Yes, he can. Yeah.
Yeah, that one rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah. Yes, he can.
Should we see what
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Who did the Lions last time?
Spain.
Oh, wait, what round was it? Or like
Final.
It was the final. Yeah, it was the final. Yeah. Okay. Would anyone like to share? We'll start with the lionesses and the three lions, and then we'll move on.
Hannah, will you go first?
Okay. I said a roaring victory. 3 lions no longer prey.
Oh,
Very nice.
praise. See, that's
Very
lovely.
very
Yeah,
good,
the collective
very good.
noun. Although they're only leopards, but still. Technically, that's very good, very good. Does anyone have another example?
mine aren't the best.
No.
Let's hear it, let's hear it.
I'm sure they're... Need a moment.
Okay. England football team win the World Cup. Go, and then there's like 10,000 O's.
Go.
And then
Nah.
England.
8 zeros. O's, not
1,
zeros.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8. It's 8.
Does it finish in an AL and then an exclamation mark?
Yeah.
It should.
I need to put like 5. There we go.
Did you just do an eye
Nice.
instead of an exclamation mark?
Eleanor, you got one?
You had 2 eyes.
Yeah, for the sprinter one, I just have a sprinting to success, new 100-meter sprint record set by Benami athletes.
Yeah, it was
maybe.
nice alliteration and sibilance. Yeah, absolutely.
Josie,
I have one for the sprinter.
go on.
Keep track, new 100-meter record set by sprinter.
Yeah.
Very clever. They're better
They're better.
than we are. Yeah, yeah, much better.
Amy, Sophia?
I've got one for the Lionesses. I've got Lionesses rolled their way to victory in the World Cup.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sophia?
the unthinkable happened. Amateur golfers win the LPGA.
Very good. Oh yeah, we didn't actually think about the.
Yeah, we didn't get that one.
So I put the golf one in because there is an actual headline. So this happened recently in both the PGA and the LPGA, which is quite remarkable. But the headline for the LPGA one, I wish I bought it, was the birdie did well. The birdie did well was the headline, and obviously birdie is 1 under par in golf, but it's infantilization, as you were saying, Josie, because they were calling this golfer, a professional, well, actually not a professional golfer, an amateur golfer, a birdie, and obviously bird is a slang colloquial term.
It should never have got through the subs, never.
That's all.
No, it shouldn't.
It
shouldn't, but it did.
Yeah.
Which
But it
paper
did.
was it?
I can't. It was something online. It was one of the social media papers, so nothing highbrow, I'm afraid. But it was still interesting to see. So that's why I put that one on there because. Yeah.
Anybody else? Phoebe? Or Will?
Yeah. So I wanted the lionesses and an unimaginable. I can't say it. A unimaginable return after last year's defeat to Spain in the finals.
Nice, lovely.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah. Nice.
Phoebe, did you say you had one?
It was the golfer one. Smashing it out of the park. Amateur golfer wins LPGA for the first time.
Very nice, smashing out of the park.
Nice.
Really good. Yeah.
Lots of good puns.
Yeah.
There were. Very great. Okay, so I'm glad you enjoyed that because if it's okay with you two, I have another actual hot seating task next.
Yeah,
If anyone would like to. Now, it's one part of sports journalism is obviously the interview process. Okay, so after a fixture or after a round or whatever it may be, they will interview the athlete. And often we see the questions being asked by the journalists are centred around things away from the sport. So I thought we could have a go at some mock interviews. If anyone, to be honest, I'm happy with whatever sport you want to choose and whatever questions you want to ask because I think it would be interesting to see the sorts of things you come up with. So I'm sorry that's quite vague with very little guidance. But would anyone like to come up and have a go as a... Yes? Okay. Annabelle, you are an athlete.
You're an athlete.
Sport
So
athlete. Yeah.
Who's going to interview me?
Does everyone interview here, Mr. Allan?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Okay.
So you fire questions out there.
So I am a cricketer who has just won like a cup thing, a match, yes, and
Hit the winning run.
I have also got engaged. I got engaged a month ago, and my best friend is pregnant.
Say a week ago. Then it's newer.
A week ago, and I haven't told anyone yet. I told people yesterday.
Okay, right.
Okay, don't too much.
What I forgot to say, sorry, was there's a little bit of space there that you could take some notes on the sort of things, if you want, that maybe the journalist would ask or how people would respond, okay? Really good question here. First time we do it, can you actually try and pretend to be a realistic journalist in today's society? So looking at what Bruce says that there will be, what sorts of questions do you think you would ask the cricketer in this situation? Okay, so you're in the press room, you can pick who your questions come from.
No one knows who I'm engaged to,
Oh my
but I've announced that I'm engaged.
Okay.
All right, so
Questions from the press.
yeah, so you got to raise your hand. They got to raise their hands, right? If you want to
Yeah,
ask a question.
go raise your hands.
Raise your hands for a question.
Anyone got a question?
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a bit stressed at the moment. Not gonna lie, I think this is just a lot of pressure to cope with, but I'm dealing with it quite well in my opinion. Yes.
How's your morning sickness?
Well, it's actually quite bad.
I thought your friend was.
Oh yeah, my friend was Excuse me, it's actually my best friend. She's called Caroline. She's the best person in the history of planet Earth. Yes.
Has your training leading up to this impacted your relationship in any way?
Well, it has slightly, but overall, I think my partner's just happy I'm doing what I love. Yes.
How does Caroline feel about you sharing her pregnancy?
Well, she's quite like she's quite comfortable with it because she's a bit of an attention seeker, to be honest. She's a bit of a personality, little bit of a personality going on, and I think she's just being like, because she's friends with the most amazing person on the planet. I think she's just quite glad that she's.
Wasn't she the most amazing person on the planet?
No, I am easily second. Yes.
We have time for one more question.
Yes. Anyone?
At the back there, I think.
Oh, yes.
Miss Huntley. Well, maybe two more.
Two
Yes.
more, I think. Josie and Miss Huntley.
Well, cricket can be quite a dangerous sport, so how do you feel with dealing?
I mean, I've been hit in the face and in the leg and had seam marks before. This is true, by the way. And these bruises have been very big, but I feel like I've overcome, and I just got back out there and did what I love again. So nothing can get in the way. Do your own thing. Yes.
Your performance in the nets last night was absolutely appalling. How did you turn it around today?
Well, in the nets, I spent the whole time chatting with Caroline, my best friend, because she was sharing her pregnancy stories.
No, you wouldn't say that.
But that's what I did last night in the nets.
Okay.
But my best friend's not called Caroline.
So,
Okay.
did you notice
And is not
there
pregnant.
that actually 5 of the 6 questions were more around the pregnancy, about the relationship, about how she's feeling, rather than the fact that she's just hit the winning runs in cricket. And that is actually something that we quite often see in sports journalism and interviewing.
And you fell into the trap, didn't you? All of you.
So this
It's quite
time
enjoyable.
round, rethink it. The ideal situation. What sort of questions would we like to see asked to the cricket star? Same scenario, same things have happened, but how would you edit the questions you've asked?
Can I still be the cricket star?
Yeah.
Can I ask her how she's feeling about this win that she just...
Yes.
If you think that's appropriate.
Go on then.
Yes, go on then.
Oh, how are you feeling about the win?
I'm feeling quite good. I feel pretty confident now, but I'm not going to let the confidence get the better of me because I've done that before and it's not very good. Yes.
What would you say to young women out there who look up to be like you?
Well, I would say that you should get in the nets
What is the nets?
and start bowling your balls. And also invest in the pricier kit because it's better and won't break.
Endorsement.
Yes.
Do you see yourself as a batter or an all-rounder?
Well, I see myself as someone who can do everything. No, I can do. It's not just cricket. It's not just cricket wise. I have my strong points, but even though people have their ups and downs, I feel like you can do anything, you can do everything.
Very inspirational.
Yes.
Are your leggings from Lululemon?
Yes, they are. Thank you for asking. I definitely recommend.
Question here.
Yeah.
Now, after this, you're going to be a big name, and there's talk that you're going to sign a nice, lucrative contract with the Indian Premier League. Is there anything you'd like to say to address those rumours?
Well, my mouth is shut. Any drama that I can stir, I will savour.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Get out my feet. No.
Okay.
Annabelle, sit down. Every cliche under the sun.
Yes, very much so. So there's a lot to try and understand there, but what was the difference the second time round? What did we realise we were getting from the cricket star more? Actually, maybe not so much. But what were we trying to get from the cricket star a little more? What were we trying to elicit?
It's a bad name, actually.
Treating her like a professional instead of like the subject of gossip and caring too much about her personal life.
Yeah.
Well, mostly.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Quite funny.
But that is exactly it. When it comes to interviewing, we want to treat the sports stars, the professionals, with the fact that they are sports stars. They're not like they do have the celebrity status because of the heightened media attention around sport, but also they have a job to do. And say what you will about wages and competitions and everything else, there is still a job that they are sent out to do, and therefore the questioning should be centred around that. I don't know if you
There's
had...
an interesting example of this, because Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, you're far too young to know this, everybody, but she was an Olympic champion.
Yeah.
But of course, the main story was the fact that she was Princess Anne, and the same for Zara Phillips, her daughter. Major achievement. All right, we've always had a very good record at equestrian, but it was just phenomenal, and a real first.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all mostly about Princess Anne.
Rather
than her talent as a rider.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lovely. I'm half tempted to ask Esther a sports question to throw her straight in, but I'm not going to, don't worry. It's okay.
Worry on the face.
What time do we finish? Have I still got time?
A few minutes. Yeah, you got about 5 minutes.
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to just touch on is, obviously there we asked some questions about her friend's pregnancy. We asked some questions about her personal life. Now, there is actually a code for journalists that you will often see that they get in trouble for breaking it. So what I would like to ask you is, can you work out what the 5 principles, the ethical issues, the 5 things that journalists need to abide by in order to stay ethical in their interviews? Okay, just a couple minutes, see if you can work out with your partner. Can you think of anything that... Think about the sort of things that are appropriate and not appropriate to ask sports stars.
Do the opposite? Like, they ask about your best friend's pregnancy.
Well, they are usually banned from the press room for a while.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
If they ask an inappropriate question, do you have to answer it?
No, you don't have to answer any question.
Well, if you like stirring the pot.
Same in a press room.
We've had athletes walk out of press rooms.
Yes, yeah, footballers, golfers.
That will cause drama.
Yeah.
That would cause more drama.
You're all about the drama, aren't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, just think about.
I could walk out.
About the principles.
Yeah, just think about what the guidelines. Yeah.
Come back in and go like.
Don't worry too much about being right or wrong. Just think about, okay, if what do you think they should abide by? Even should they abide by?
Yes, actually, that's a better question.
I could walk out.
What do you think they should?
Drop a bomb.
No, I'm like verbally.
Okay.
All right, let's see what you got. Let's see what you come up with.
It's the same as the protected characteristics. It's the same list. No. They shouldn't be, but I think there is bias in journalists. Like there's bound to be, isn't there? Like any featured article will obviously share some anecdotal style or opinions or something. Yeah. So we finish in a couple of minutes, do we? Okay.
Yeah, don't worry, a few minutes late. It's fine.
Okay, let's. We're going to bring this session to a close, unfortunately, very soon. But does anyone know, or could hazard a guess at the sort of things that they are told they are not allowed to ask? Yeah.
I guess sort of like inappropriate questions. So I guess questions that are sexually charged, you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that ties in with the over-sexualisation of female stars that we looked at the beginning from Bruce. Absolutely, definitely one.
Could they, like, if they asked about a question which made the person feel really uncomfortable, would they also, like, any question which made the person feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. So anything that generates uncomfort would certainly be considered unethical as well. Any other ideas? Yeah.
Maybe inappropriate language, like not using the correct terminology and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the informality of it, I guess, as well. So the actual answer. Now there were brilliant ideas that you just gave, but the actual answer is the protected characteristics. Okay, so you may have spoken about these in PSHE lessons or heard about them in assemblies, but it's anything to do with race or age or sexuality or religion or marital status, that sort of stuff, actually it ties in with the ethics of journalism, that you're not allowed to ask. However, saying that, and we have some great examples down here, you'll quite often see that these things are still brought up in the written form. Okay, so they may mention, for example, when it's Ramadan, they quite often mention the fact that they're the religion of the athletes and how they ask the question, will they be struggling, will they be doing this, and they're not meant to do that. They're not meant to ethically do that. Okay, so unfortunately we still live in a world where there is some sexism within sports journalism, but there are other ethical issues that we just need to be aware of, and how our language and the words that we are using can have a really detrimental or severe effect on those around us. Yeah.
Would it be allowed if, say, it was aware to everyone that an athlete was fasting for Ramadan?
Mm-hmm.
Would what's the name? The journalists be able to ask them, oh, what would you give to other sports people who are fasting and might be having a tough time? Would that be allowed? It was other young people who think they can't do this because they're fasting.
It's a really good question. It's a really good question, and the honest answer is I don't know. I would say that it wouldn't actually be asking about the protected characteristics. It's about the advice you would give. So I think it would actually probably be okay, because you're trying to generate support for younger up and coming athletes. So I think it is. I think it probably would be allowed, that sort of question. Yeah, it would be my opinion. Okay. So thank you for allowing me to talk to you about sport, and thank you for your role play and everything else. I just wanted to leave you with the words of Peter Drury, and if you get 5 minutes, look him up on YouTube. He is the poet of football, and his commentary is tear-jerking. And he once said, "Roma have risen from their ruins. Man, alas, the Greek god in Rome, the unthinkable unfolds before our eyes. This was not meant to happen. This could not happen. This is happening." As Roma came back from 4-0 down to beat Barcelona and go through to the next round of the Champions League. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it's all over.
It is now. Yeah. That would have been a better one, wouldn't it? Thank you. It's still a very significant moment. I'm very aware of. Until we win the World Cup in 2026.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Allan.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.